Hello again everyone, I hope you're doing well today. I'm back again with another video, and today I have another prop with me to demonstrate what I am sharing. And today, if you haven't already guessed, I have a life jacket on. Now the purpose of a life jacket is to protect us while we're out at sea. And I thought about the purpose of a life jacket and thought up some of the things that it does for us. Now first of all, it is our protector. When we go out to sea, we either have a life jacket on or we have it very close by, so that if we run into any trouble at all, it is there to protect us. And we do that because if we end up in the water, it will help us to float, and without it eventually we're going to sink. Secondly, it is security. When we're out at sea, having a life jacket with us brings us security. We know that it will protect us, that it will help us to keep us afloat on the water. Thirdly, it is with us in all situations. When we are out at sea, we keep a life jacket on or we keep it close by. It is always there with us. Fourthly, it doesn't ask questions. When we are in the water and we are in need of the life jacket, it doesn't question us why we're in this situation. It simply helps us and keeps us. It protects us and gives us life. And we know that we can rely on that life jacket to protect us in that situation. Ultimately, this life jacket can bring us life. Without one, eventually we will sadly sink in the water. With a life jacket, it keeps us afloat. It gives us life. It brings us hope in a bad time. It is there, close to us, at all times. It is ready to help us and to protect us. Now you're possibly wondering why I'm going on about a life jacket, and that is a fair question. What has a life jacket got to do with your situation, with my situation, or the current situation that we find ourselves in? But hopefully, as I've shared, you perhaps have come to realise that I'm making a comparison here between the life jacket and someone who protects us. Someone who gives us security and is there in all situations. Someone who we know we can rely on. Someone who ultimately gives us life. That person is Jesus. He wants to be our life jacket, to be our protector, our security, the person that we rely on. He wants us to live our lives for him. You may remember how I mentioned the life jacket stays close to us. It keeps close in all situations, and it is the same with Jesus. There is a verse in the Bible from the book of Proverbs that says that there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Jesus will keep closer to us than anybody else. In these tricky times, having Jesus close by our side is such a comfort and such a blessing. The life jacket is also there during the good times and the bad times, when your boat is afloat and when your boat has unfortunately sunk. Jesus is the same. No matter what the situation is, Jesus will always be there alongside us, closer than a brother, both in the good and the bad times. And there will be both in our lives. We will go through great times, and sadly we will go through the hard times. And I think it is fair to say that we are going through a tough time at the moment. We may be living in fear of catching coronavirus. We may have friends or family affected by coronavirus. These times are tough. They are trying and they are testing. But having Jesus close by, closer than a brother, is such a help. It strengthens us. It guides us through. Gives us a peace nothing or no one else can. And when you do use a life jacket, it isn't a case of chucking it away after that. It can still be kept and be used. And in fact, if a life jacket has saved your life, you will be mad to chuck it away. And it is the same with Jesus. Once we know Jesus, once we know the peace and security that he can bring, we will be mad to forget about him, to chuck him away. We should continue to live our lives for him. Once the good times return, and they will, Jesus will still be with us and still be closer than a brother. Now, I've been a Christian for just over 6 years, and those 6 years of having Jesus with me, keeping close to him, have been such a blessing. I've still faced tough times, bad times, hopeless times, but whatever I've faced, I know that Jesus is with me. And that is why I am doing these videos. That's why I am continuing to share with you. Because I want you to know the peace and hope Jesus can bring. I'm going to do another video to share with you about an experience that has probably been the toughest of my life. But that was the time where Christ drew the closest he has ever been. These may be some of the toughest days that we ever face on this earth. But know this, knowing Christ at this time will bring you hope and bring you peace. He will keep you and he will guide you at this time. In the Bible there is an account where Jesus and Peter, who was one of Jesus' disciples, walk on water. And these verses can be found in the book of Matthew, and they say, "Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. 'It's a ghost,' they said, and they cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, 'Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid.' 'Lord, if it's you,' Peter replied, 'tell me to come to you on the water.' 'Come,' he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. 'You of little faith,' he said, 'why did you doubt?' And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, 'Truly, you are the Son of God.'" Peter is only able to walk on water through faith in Jesus. And as soon as he takes his eyes off Jesus, he starts to sink. He starts to lose his way. Yet in that situation, Jesus reaches out and lifts Peter up. He stops him from sinking. He is Peter's life jacket in that situation. And like I said, once you've used a life jacket once in the water, if you've ever had that experience, I doubt you will ever go without a life jacket again. And it is the same with Jesus. Jesus wants to know us all. He brings us hope and peace, and once we have had Jesus in our lives once, we will never want to lose him. I can promise you that. If you are searching for hope and peace in this time, look to Jesus. Look to him for hope and peace. Look to him, and he can bring that in these times. And please do ask any questions that you may have. Please do get in touch if you have been challenged by what you have heard. During these troubled days, I would love nothing more than for you to come to know Jesus, to know the hope and the peace that he can bring in these troubled times. Thanks again for listening.